Please take your seats. The program will begin in 1 minute.
Cars. I just love cars. I love cars of all types. I love being part of a team and going racing. And I still have a very different job today than I did when I was driving in the team with Chief Ganassi Racing, and I advise them. But I love that, just feeling of getting in there and helping people to do a better job and to win races. Yeah, she's pretty. It's a pretty car. I mean, I saw the Radford at Goodwood, the Festival of Speed. I saw it run up the hill, and it's a pretty car, and it's going to be fun. And I know with Jenson involved, he loves his cars too. And I find it hilarious that him, myself, my brother's working with Singer, and one of our other friends is working with Aston on the Valkyrie. So it's hilarious to go all in this position.
We happen to have two of the best drivers here ever to put on a helmet. Right next to me is Mr. Jenson Button. I think if I get it right, Jenson. Mr. Dario Franchitti all the way to my left. Thank you, Dario, for being here. I don't want to be serious here, but one thing I was curious, I think the crowd would like to know, maybe tell us, Jenson, what makes a top-level driver? Like, what separates the
Let me just get Lewis on the phone. 1 second. A lot of time, dedication. I mean, we all, as drivers, have a natural ability, obviously, as we wouldn't be given the opportunities that we're given, but after that, it's a lot of hard work. Even the best in the business, it's down to a lot of hard work.
What's the hard work?
Yeah, I'm still trying to work that out. But
you hear that? Is that training? Is it your debriefing? What do you mean?
It's everything from, for me, a big part of it was the engineering side of things. So, in terms of outright ability, in any racing car, there were people that were better. But for me, it was the effort that I put into the engineering, developing a car around my style of driving, and then you've got the fitness aspect, you've got the nutritional aspect, you've got the mental approach as well. Because when you look at a grid of racing drivers, most of them are pretty damn good. But it's whether their head is in the right place. And I think we still don't look at that enough. When you look at Formula One drivers like Pierre Gasly, he was great in Toro Rosso. He jumped in a Red Bull alongside Max Verstappen, and he was nowhere, absolutely nowhere. And then he jumps back in an AlphaTauri, which is Toro Rosso, and he's competitive again. And it just shows you, if your head's not in the right place, you do not perform. And it's happened to so many drivers over the years. So for me, that is one of the big parts of the sport that is overlooked.
I tended to do better in the bigger occasions and when the pressure was really on, because especially as I got older, I'd kind of learned from the down times, learned from those bits, learned how to do that mind management, and learned almost like a self-hypnotising thing before I got in the car. And I would be just go to Indianapolis, walk out there, there's 350,000 people, and I didn't see any of it. Got in the car and drove the race, and I think you'll relate to this, I drove it the same as I drove when I was 10 years old at the go-kart track with me and my dad. It was not about the big, it was just, I was able to completely shut everything else out, and it was just about driving the car. And to go back to what we're talking about, the difference between success and failure is minuscule.
Sure.
It's absolutely minuscule.
Right.
Funny enough, the first time, you obviously won't remember this, but the first time I met Dario was at the Birmingham NEC, which is a car show in the UK. And there was a setup, and you had to basically, it was Sega Rally, and you had to get the quickest time. And if you got the quickest time, I think you got a watch or something. And I'd been driving this Sega Rally game for days, basically trying to win this watch. And then he comes over, and for me, it's like, oh, this superstar walks over. Seriously, and you got on it, and you destroyed my time. I didn't. And then you just walked off. And it was like, oh, okay, signs of that's how it is. Yeah, but that was the first time I ever. Well, I thought I met you, but you didn't really meet. I was waving at you as you walked away. Oh, you're a fan.
But Jenson, you've been in those situations where, they have these things in Formula One. It's a test, right? And it's more like a tryout. There's a couple of drivers there, maybe one other driver, and you have the day to turn laps. At the end of the day, somebody gets the seat and somebody doesn't. Like, I can imagine that day just being a bundle of, he's nodding his head.
I remember watching your Williams, from afar, your Williams test when you were under that exact pressure.
Yeah, I was 19. And that's the thing, you're a teenager, you're a kid.
Wow.
when you get the opportunity to race against the best guys in the world. And I was in Barcelona and up against a guy called Bruno Janquera, and he was the test driver for Williams at the time. And I was a 19-year-old kid that had never really driven a Formula One car at speed before. It was, physically very tough, but more mentally tough. We went out and did our driving, and I think I was 2.5 tenths quicker than him, which is nothing, blink of an eye. And then we came back in. I was really happy with myself, and they said, right, we want you to sit down now and do basically an exam, an engineering exam. And I had no understanding of a vehicle whatsoever, and I think I got 25% right. At that moment, I was like, right, it's done. My career's done. And this was the day before it was announced to the world who the drivers were for Williams. So Ralf Schumacher was signed. He was old. He was 24. And the other driver it was between us two. So I was there, and I would go and do a photo shoot with Ralf Schumacher in the car. And then Bruno would go and do a photo shoot with Ralf Schumacher in the car. And they still hadn't decided who was going to be the driver, because obviously I had no understanding of engineering. I was a kid, but I could drive pretty quick.
Right.
And then we went to bed, we slept on it, and I went in and saw Frank Williams, the owner, in the morning, and that's where he told me, I've got the drive. And that was 30 minutes before it was announced to the world, and suddenly you go from a kid from Frome at 19 to being on the world stage and not having a clue what you're doing. You know, you've got these cameras pointed at you, and you're totally lost. You're just speaking the truth, which you learn you cannot do in life.
Especially not there.
Yeah.
Was your dad with you, or did you call him and tell him?
No, he was there. So I walked out of the engineer's office with Ralph. Ralph walked in just after Frank told me that I had the drive. And Ralph walked in all angry. It's Michael Schumacher's brother, Ralf Schumacher. And Frank said to Ralph, Jenson is your teammate this year. He went, oh, I knew that. Anyway, Frank, why was the car not there to pick me up at the hotel to bring me to the circuit? I was like, wow, this is the guy I've got to work with. I'm definitely going to be able to win the team over. I walked out, and the first person I saw was obviously my late father, and it was very emotional.
I can imagine.
Some big tears.
So did they just wait that late so you can't negotiate the pay?
Basically, yeah. So it is what it is. It was still a lot more than I was earning as a 19-year-old
Oh my God.
kid racing an F3.
So you're involved in the car business, and you're very much involved in the car business. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, it's been a hard slog the last couple of years. I think every startup is, but it's so rewarding. It really is, isn't it? And I'm lucky enough that I was there right at the beginning. So when we were actually designing the car, so I was involved with the ducktails on the rear of the car. And
that's the car out.
It's outside, yeah,
right.
the Burgundy Type 62. So it's been an amazing journey being involved. I mean, there's ups and downs, just like our racing careers, really. But you're right, it's definitely more difficult setting up a road car, because people might use it on a circuit. So you want to get it dialed in for a circuit, but then you don't want it to be too low so it doesn't work on the road. You want it to be drivable on the road when you're driving on the 405 when it's extremely bumpy or you're in
so
traffic.
LA now on the 405.
Well, it's the worst road in the world, isn't it? So
used to be the M25.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So it's been a really exciting journey, and
Why'd you want to do it? Sounds like a lot of work.
It is, but what I love about it is I don't know about the T50 or the T33, but what I love about the Radford is it's so analog, it's so mechanical. You feel everything. It's a as we say over here, stick, but we say manual box back in the UK. So it's a manual gearbox, and it's 600 horsepower. It's under 1,000 kilos. So we don't need that much power in it. But cars these days become very heavy, and then they have to throw a lot of power at it to compensate for the weight. But with these cars, they're super light, so already you're starting in a great place. There's a lot of mechanical grip comes from the car, and then you also have the option of having a lot of horsepower, which you've got 600, which it doesn't need, but it does need.
Of course it does.
Exactly, but it's just such a lovely feeling doing the work, doing the setup work. People say, well, it's just a Lotus, isn't it, with a different body on it? But it's not. It's the tub. So with a McLaren, you have a carbon tub, whereas with our car, it's an aluminum tub, or aluminium tub, as we say. But that is it. Everything else has been completely changed. and it's so exciting to see the development of that and be involved with that. But the first car is with Lotus.
Right.
The second car is with another OEM, which I can't mention. I'd love to mention, but can't. But the idea is to work with OEMs, so we have their backing, which definitely helps. But we're able to produce cars that they're not able to produce. They're not able to get it past their board, whereas we can. So there's a lot of fun stuff. The next car you're going to wait yourself over. You are. Yeah, I'll put your name down now. Perfect. Gordon won't mind because it's not a sports car.
No, he'd be fine anyway. He doesn't mind me buying other stuff. He buys a car a week.
Oh, does it?
He's shocking.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. We're very lucky to be in the position we're in. We've had such a great career. I look at Ayrton Senna, what he achieved with obviously his career in motorsport, but also being involved with Honda and the NSX, and how great that car was. And we're kind of trying to emulate that. We'll go one step further.